Okay, we are live with another Safe Home Interactive. Hello, everyone, and hi, Gene.
Hey, how you doing, Rob?
Doing well. If you're just now joining the live stream, please go ahead and drop a comment just so that we can see who's here. Make sure the chat's working and everything's looking good. We'll get started in just a moment. All right. Hi, Simone. How are you? Andrew, hello. MD is in the chat. All right, as you guys can see here on the screen, we have some upcoming YouTube live streams. We're going to be running these every Tuesdays at 2. And we're going to do this series with Gene Petrino. And really looking forward to this. Hi, Sky. All right, let's get started. So yeah, welcome back again to another installment of Safe Home Interactive. I'm Rob Gabriel, home security expert at safehome.org. And today we're sitting with Gene Petrino again of Survival Response LLC. Gene is a former SWAT commander, and he's had quite the decorated career in law enforcement. And today we're talking all about situational awareness and how to watch your back when it matters most. Hey, Gene, welcome. Great to have you again.
Always great to be here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know that you teach a lot about situational awareness. What is situational awareness, and what should people be thinking about when it comes to personal safety and being aware?
So on the most basic level, it is just being aware of your surroundings, paying attention to what's going on, not just right in front of you, but sort of at a distance as well. I think a lot of times we get so focused on what's going on in our own lives, we're not paying attention, and that sometimes puts us in very dangerous, positions. If you're holding onto your phone, you're looking at it as you're walking to your car when you're going shopping. It's not a good thing, and that's what criminals are looking for. They're looking for people that aren't paying attention to what's going on. So situational awareness is really the foundation for safety.
Great, yeah. Can you think of any situation where maybe you're out and about when being situationally aware is maybe more important than at other times, or what does that look like?
Well, I mean, I think that really any time is the most important time.
Mm-hmm.
We do live in a relatively safe world. It might not seem that way, but the reality is, it's not as dangerous as you think it is, especially if you're paying attention to what's going on around you. And I think that's what ends up happening is people just really get caught up in their own minds, and they're not really thinking about it. So anything as simple as just coming home and walking up to your front door, you should be looking, is there anybody in your yard? Is there anything that looks out of place? Paying attention to those things. We get on autopilot so many times that every aspect of our life is sort of, like I said, on autopilot. You're not really paying
Mm-hmm.
attention. So going to the store, coming back from the store, are you on your phone? Are you, when you get into your car, are you messing around with stuff? Are you closing the door, locking it, and then starting your car up and getting ready to go? Are you paying attention? Because people are looking for that opportunity where you're distracted, and that's when the attack is going to come. So always, really, in every aspect of your life, just being aware. If you're out and about, have your phone in your pocket, and just keep your eyes open.
Great. Yeah. When I'm out and about, I see everyone is on their phones nowadays, facing their phones, like you mentioned. A lot of people are kind of zombies walking around, heads down. Do you think it's kind of more of a problem, or maybe more serious now with so much digital device addiction happening?
Oh, it's 10 times worse. And I can think back years ago when it started happening, we'd see videos of people walking into water fountains,
Mhm.
at a shopping mall and things like that because they're looking at their phone, or walking into a door they thought was open, or, it happens way more frequently than you think. And it's easy to get caught up. It's easy to get distracted on the phone, but we have to have the discipline to say, all right, my safety is more important than whatever's going on my phone. And I'm going to put it away for a little bit while I'm going from point A to point B. And once I'm in an area where I'm a little more secure, then I'm going to start looking at it and dealing with it then. But we do get very distracted. The phones are, they're probably one of the biggest hindrances that we have to safety right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I can imagine. So, can you share a story where situational awareness made a significant difference in an outcome and maybe even like saved a life?
Yeah, the one story that comes to mind, I talk about quite a bit. This was back when I was working in law enforcement, and we had gotten a report there was going to be a big gang fight at a high school. So I had coordinated with the other, other units in our department, and we had probably about, I'd say probably about maybe 20 police officers in different uniforms. So we had motormen and the motorcycle police officers with their uniforms. We had plainclothes people, which was what we were doing. We had uniform people. We created a perimeter around the school to show them that, hey, we're here and we don't want any problems. And we're waiting for school to get to check out. And we're just talking. And I remember this day clearly. It was beautiful. It was sunny. It was, South Florida. It was perfect weather, 70 degrees, sun's out, no clouds, nice breeze. I was in heaven
Mhm.
thinking, why am I working today?
Right.
But out of nowhere, I see a gentleman walking, just starting to go on the other side of the street, on the school side of the street by us. And I'm looking at him. And I just had this really, really odd feeling about this guy. And nothing that he was doing specifically stood out right away, but I felt it. I felt there was something going on. As I watched his behavior, I noticed that he was he wasn't paying attention to anything around him. He was sort of just in a dead walk to where he was going. He wasn't looking around at him. He didn't even notice we were there. And it got to the point where I thought, I got to stop this guy because something was like itching at me so bad.
Mm.
So as I approached him, because he walked right past, several police officers, including me, and I walked up to him and I said, "Excuse me, is everything all right?" And he just stopped and he didn't turn around. At that time, I was behind him, and I knew something was really bad. So I put my hand on his shoulder and I said, "Hey, listen, if everything's gonna be fine, I just need to know if you're okay." I didn't
Mm.
know what he was doing, but I knew something was off, and he didn't say anything. So I asked him. I said, "Are you gonna do something bad?" And he just nodded his head. And I said, "Okay, do you have a weapon on you?" And he nodded his head. And I said, "Okay."
Mm.
And I had a conversation with him, just trying to say, "Listen, you're not going to get hurt. I don't want to get hurt. Let's just, do you have a gun on you?" And he said, "Yes." So I said, "I'm going to handcuff
Wow.
you. Everything's going to be fine, but I want you to look around first before you think about what you want to do." Because I could see that he was thinking, like you could feel him tense up. I could see that he was trying to decide, what do I do? I said, "I want you to look to your left. I want you to see all the police officers that are here."
Mm.
And he looked, and then his body relaxed, and he put his hands behind his back, and sure enough, he had a gun. He was going to commit an armed robbery.
Wow.
And he had no concept that we were there. And this is what situational awareness is. A lot of situational awareness is an intuition that you build up over time as you start watching people's behaviors and understanding that it's not just their behavior, it's how an atmosphere can change around you when you're in
Mm.
a situation. Think about, like, you ever walked into a room and all of a sudden everyone goes quiet. You're like,
Mhm.
"You guys talking about me?" It
Right.
happened a lot when I was a supervisor. You walk in and like everyone's quiet. I'm like, "What are you guys doing?"
Right.
And it's the same thing. When this gentleman walked into this atmosphere where we were at, I felt something change. I felt something, and I just looked at him, and I knew there was an issue. And that's really what situational awareness is. It's so important to just notice these little things that are just not the same as everything else. And that's the whole goal, is to learn how to pick up on those little differences.
Yeah, talk about being in the right place, the right time, and having, the right training, of course.
Yeah.
And you talk about like having that intuition. Is there any way we can, obviously, like you said, we build up that intuition over time? Is there any way to kind of speed that up, or, different like psychological tricks we can use on ourselves to make sure that we're constantly aware?
Yeah, it really does have to do with just paying attention. You start to build your intuition by watching people and paying
Mhm.
attention to what their behaviors are. You're looking for some kind of an anomaly. So you have your baseline behaviors, right? What the things that people do every day of the week. So think about, if you're going to a grocery store, you're going to see people with, pushing carts or carrying a cart or walking in and grabbing things. That's normal behavior you're going to see. But if someone starts pacing really fast back and forth in an aisle, that's a little odd, and you're looking for those little anomalies. Now, these anomalies don't mean that there's going to be an attack or they're doing something wrong. There could be They could be just under just general stress of something.
Yeah.
They could have some kind of a mental illness, or they could be autistic, or there could be something going on. Doesn't mean they're a bad person, but it's something that you should look at and go, okay, I'm going to pay attention to that and see if that's going to change anything. Are they going to start doing something else that gives me an indication they're going to be violent? And then
Hmm.
you can make a decision. But you learn this by just not looking at your phone. Go to Starbucks. The great place is Starbucks or any coffee shop. Sit at a coffee place and just watch the people coming and going. Watch the interactions of people. You'll see couples having fights. You won't hear what they're saying, but you'll see there's some kind of disagreement. You'll see people that are close friends. You'll see people that are new. You see all these behaviors that people have that show whether they're excited, they're stressed, they're happy, they're sad. And that's what you want to start picking up on and start recognizing what it looks like when these people have emotions, because an attack is an emotional thing. And a
Hmm.
lot of times attackers will display specific features that show that they're going to do something.
Hmm. Right. Yep. This is funny. Annie says in the chat, I'd be happy to get rid of my phone.
I think we all would.
Yeah, I agree. Um, and yeah, so we have a question coming in from chat. I'm going to put this on the screen here. And if anyone else has a question, please go ahead and drop it. This is open Q&A for everyone to get all your burning questions answered. So seniorliving.org asks, how can you differentiate between trusting your gut in instances when maybe you're overthinking, assuming things that aren't accurate?
Okay, and that's where practice comes in. I always have a saying that it's being prepared, not paranoid. And so
Mm-hmm.
the whole idea of paying attention isn't to think, oh my God, someone's about to attack me. It's about, that looks a little different. What are they doing? It could be something that, like I said, there could be a very justifiable reason why someone's doing something. So you have to just kind of stay calm. Don't think that, you're going to be attacked unless there's an overt sign. If you see someone that is approaching you and their chin's tucked down and they've got a stare, they're staring at you, or they're walking very fast at a faster pace that most people walk, that might be an indication someone's coming to, usually it's an indication of some kind of an attack.
Yeah.
That's when you want to take notice, or take action of how you want to respond. But most of the time, when you see some kind of behavior, that concerning behavior is just a piece in the puzzle. You don't know if that's going to be something. So
Mhm.
trust your gut to say, okay, that looks weird. Don't downplay it, because I think a lot of times, in fact, I know for a fact, a lot of times people will say, "Oh, that's nothing." And we don't want that. We want you to have a little bit of skepticism of why something's happening. And an example of this is just about every single active shooter attack that's happened. There is some witness that was there that will say, I thought I heard fireworks in my office.
Mm.
And that's your body, that's your brain convincing itself you're not really, this isn't really happening. And
Yeah.
that has to do with the forebrain and the midbrain. And they're battling each other. Your midbrain with your limbic system is designed to protect you. It's that thing that creates that fight or flight or freeze. And the forebrain's all your logic, and your logic's like, it's nothing. And there's always a battle. The whole thing is that you want to remember, if you have some kind of uncomfortable feeling, there's probably a justification for it. It
Sure.
doesn't mean something's going to be bad. There might be someone that you just don't like. You get a weird feeling from. It doesn't mean they're a bad person, but we don't always get along with people, and it just might be a weird feeling. Doesn't mean you have to overreact with it, but you have to pay attention to it. So,
Hmm.
that's probably the best I can say, is that there's no real way to overreact unless you're like screaming at someone because they just walked into a room and you felt bad. But if you look at somebody and you're like, I don't feel comfortable, I think I'm going to leave. That's a great response, because it's better to be safe than sorry in most cases.
Great. Yeah, I was just going to ask that. So it does sound like it is better to be safe
Of
than
course.
sorry.
Hmm.
And with that in mind, though, what do you recommend doing? Say if you're in a public place, and we're obviously as civilians, we're not armed, we don't have handcuffs. What are we to do? I mean, bring it to an authority? Should we call 911? How do we like escalate that?
Well, and that's the thing, is you want to make sure what you're seeing is really what you're seeing.
Hmm.
Are they really doing something they shouldn't be doing? I used to tell people all the time, I would rather you call the police and say, this doesn't look right, and let us figure out that it was nothing, than ignore it and then say, I should have called. Because by
Hmm.
then it's too late. Where they're doing the cleanup, either taking care of the victims, and it's the attack has happened, or the theft has happened, or whatever it is. It's better to make the call. Doesn't mean you have to be saying this guy did this, or be honest. Say, I have a weird feeling about this person. Something doesn't seem right about them. They're pacing when everyone else is walking normally, or they're sweating profusely and it's 60 degrees out. Something's happening. These are signs that would make them stand out. Somebody stand out as being somewhat of an abnormal behavior.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, it's that's what you want to look for. If there's something that you can articulate, call the police. And even if you are armed, it doesn't. You may not have the right to use a weapon. Just because someone's acting in a way that's abnormal doesn't mean they're going to do anything wrong.
Sure.
So you're always better just to notify the police. And if you really feel that worried about it, go tell a security guard, tell the manager of the store, hey, this doesn't seem right. Let somebody else know.
Mhm.
And that's a good thing, because you're getting a second set of eyes on it. Say, look, this guy seems a little odd, or this girl seems a little odd, or that couple, that group, whatever the situation is, something is odd with that. And explain it. Make sure you can articulate. And if you can't, say, I can't tell you what it is, but I feel like something's wrong with this person, just the way that they looked at me, or just the way they didn't look at me. I said hi, and they just walked right by me, and maybe they're just having a bad day, but I just wanted you to be aware. I'm going to go. And then that's probably
Mhm.
a very safe response.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, keeping your head on a swivel,
Yes.
trusting your gut.
Yeah.
Don't, necessarily like let things slide. If you notice something off,
Yeah.
bring it to someone's attention, or at least leave the area,
Yeah.
right? Simone here asks, well, so we went over this just now. What kind of action should we take? She asks, what do you think about items like pepper spray?
Okay. So the pepper spray is always, it always comes up. All right. So I was an instructor for chemical weapons for many years. So that includes pepper spray, OC gas, and all that stuff. Um, I will tell you this. Uh, Most people that carry pepper spray put it in their car, their purse, their pockets, their keychain, and they never touch it again. They have no idea how to use it.
Mm,
They don't realize that there's an expiration date on it. They don't know what it feels like to be contaminated with it. They don't know if it's a stream, a gel, a foam, or a fogging spray. And
mm,
all of these things really come into play on how it's used and if you're able to use it. If you're under stress, your fine motor skills deteriorate. And a lot of the small little pepper spray ones, you've got to get your finger, your thumb. It's not going to be easy for you to do. You're going to be fumbling for your keys. Think about when,
right.
every single horror movie, when they're trying to get in the door because they see some and they're shaking, they drop the keys. That's a real life response. And
Mhm.
so if you're in that situation, you think that you're going to calmly be able to grab your keys or get into your purse and find it, and with everything else that's in there, and get it out and deploy it in time, you're probably not going to.
Mhm.
So as far as any kind of a weapon, whether it's a firearm, whether it's pepper spray, and a baton, a knife, whatever you choose that you think is the best thing, or an improvised weapon,
Mhm.
anything, you want to be able to know that you're able to use it. So that means that you practice with it. It means that if you're sitting in your car and you carry pepper spray in a purse or a bag, sit in your car and just sit one day, go, all right, how quickly can I get this out, and point it at the window?
Yeah.
And time yourself, and you'll be surprised at how long it takes you to do it. It'll take you
Mhm.
very long. And considering attacks happen within seconds, it's going to take you 10 seconds to get it out. By then, it's too late, or they're going to take it away from you, or it's expired. It doesn't really have the potency. The second
Mhm.
thing is, with pepper spray, you're going to pepper spray yourself as well. There is secondary contamination that's going to happen. Whether it's on somebody and they rub it on you in a struggle, if it's a foam, or not a foam, if it's a fogger and it's spray, there's going to be some mist, or there's wind.
Yeah.
If you're inside, there's a ceiling fan or air conditioner. The stuff is airborne. It's going to get on you. Are you going to be able to respond to it? That's a
Mhm.
question you got to really think about. I think pepper spray has its place, but I think it's sort of the false sense of security item of the day. Everyone thinks, "Oh, I got pepper spray, I'll be good." Well, good luck if you're not practicing with it. And I can tell you firsthand, the stuff is nasty. It's something I hated always having to
Yeah.
deal with, because it will get you. And
Sure.
the other thing to realize is that some people have zero reaction to it.
Mhm.
So I have personally been in situations where I've had to pepper spray people where they just stared at me. And I'm like,
Mm.
"Oh, that's not good. That's not a good response."
Yeah.
And then what do you do? Then,
Yeah.
all right, what's your secondary plan? If they're not gonna, if that didn't work, or what are you gonna do now? Because now they're contaminated, it didn't work, and you're probably gonna get some of that on you. Now it's probably affecting you. So now you're at a really big disadvantage. So these are all
Yeah.
things that you have to start thinking about with any kind of weapon system. It really doesn't matter, but pepper spray in particular, you're probably gonna get contaminated with it as well. So how are you gonna react?
Mm-hmm.
If you have it, spray it on a little piece of cardboard or spray it up in the air and kind of get a little close to it and see what it feels like. It's not pleasant. And think to yourself, am I able to fight somebody off if this is on me? Or if I'm breathing this, would I be able to fight my way of the situation? And I think you'll find it's a little difficult.
Sure. Yeah. I've even seen videos of that with, police officers and tasers. They go to tase the suspect and nothing happens, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I could see that same sort of thing happening with the pepper spray,
Mhm.
or, we tend to oversimplify scenarios in our minds, like
Mhm.
leading up to something. Oh, I'll just pull it out of my purse or out of my pocket, and doesn't quite work like that when you're in the heat of the moment. So
No, no.
that's all really great advice.
Yeah.
All right, so we have some more questions here. Please chat if you're there. We'd love to get some more questions coming in. So we have Gene on the line. He's going to answer our questions. All right, so here, how can someone develop and improve their situational awareness in daily life? But this time, let's talk about like coming home, entering your house. Maybe you're coming home late at night or leaving to work in the early morning. You park in the driveway, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So most crimes are more of an opportunity crime, but there are some occasions where someone's watching your every action and planning an attack. Those are the ones where changing your own patterns are important. So if you're going to and from work, I used to change my route. I had 3 or 4 different routes I would take to and from work, and they wouldn't set me off course that much, maybe by 5 minutes. But I
Mhm.
would just change, and instead of taking one street, I'd take another one, or I'd go past the one and come back a little bit. Doing this is really going to make it hard for someone to understand when the best time is to attack, and that's really important when you're coming home. Do you come home at the same time every day? Most of us do. Most of us have a very autopilot life. We get off at 5 o'clock. We're home by 5:30. You know, but those are the vulnerable times when you're getting home. When you're driving down your street, do you see anything on the street that any cars that aren't usually there? Or even more importantly, is anybody following you that they've been following you for a while? Look for
Mhm.
that. Um, that's really important. Even before you're getting home, you should be seeing, is there something that's odd? Again, look for the abnormal behaviors. Is somebody following me? Is that same car been behind me the whole time? And if they are, maybe you need to figure out if they really are. Start making right turns.
Mhm.
Go down the street, make a right turn. If they follow you, okay, that's one. They make another one, that's one. They make 3 right turns in a row, they're following you. There's no doubt
Sure.
about it. No one's I mean, that's just an obvious thing.
Yep.
So, in that case, you would not go home. You would continue to drive, go towards a police station, call 911, say someone's following me. Those are the things that you would wanna do in that case. But when you're getting home, make sure if it's at nighttime and it's dark, make sure your house is well lit so you can see if there's anybody there. We talk about how your home looks and home security standpoint. You want to make sure you can see everything clearly. Your front door is not obscured by bushes or hedges or anything. You want to be able to see that front door clearly. You want to make sure that what's next to the front door, if there's hedges or anything like that, there's no ambush points where somebody can hide, and when you're getting your keys out to walk to your door, they're going to attack you. So you want to kind of pay attention. Again, every little detail is important.
Mhm.
Lighting, the way your landscaping is cut, make sure that there's no obstructions there, and make sure no one's following you. This is probably the best advice you're going to get.
Yeah, that's great. It's all great advice. Especially that entryway protection is a really important point too,
Mhm.
with the motion activated floodlights. If you can get one of those,
Yeah.
often they'll have security cameras built in. That's just a really great crime deterrent.
Yeah, and again, coming from home, most of us have some kind of video doorbell.
Mhm.
You could really, if you have that set the right way, you can see people coming and going to your door. And if you see that throughout the day, there's something that looks odd. Maybe pay a little more attention when you get home. If someone came and knocked on your door and they were kind of looking around, like they were trying to look in the window to see if anyone's there, maybe that's something you think, okay, this is an odd situation. When I'm coming to my house, I'm really going to be on my guard and pay attention to what's going on. If I see something that doesn't look right, I'm going to keep driving and call the police.
Yeah,
You know?
great. Yeah. Isabel here in the chat says, "Hello, I'm happy for this information. Thanks. Thanks,
Yeah.
Isabel." And so, kind of as a follow up to this, though, what if you are being followed, or maybe you're coming home late at night, and uh, a burglar or a robber, a mugger does make contact with you? what do you do? Because I know like this, if you're out in the woods and a grizzly bear comes upon you, obviously if it makes contact, you play dead, like cover your neck. You're not doing that obviously with a criminal, but what do you recommend in that case?
Well, the whole goal of situational awareness is not to let anybody get that close to you.
Hmm.
That's the whole purpose of it. If you see somebody walking, I just had this conversation the other day with someone that said they were at the gas station, and there was a homeless couple that was there, and they were watching her pump gas, and as she started to walk, as she was still pumping gas, the guy started approaching her, and she said, looked him right in the eye and I said, I'm not interested. You need to leave. And she was polite. And we had this conversation about how what did she do the right thing? Did she not? And the gentleman was persistent on trying to get money from her. And she finally was like, you need to leave. And was very, very forceful in her tone. She didn't yell or anything, but she
Hmm.
was very forceful. And the guy turned away. Now, what I said to her was, I would have made a lot of noise. I would have said, like,
Yeah.
I'm not interested. And as soon as he started walking my way, I put my hand up, hey, I'm not interested. And
Hmm.
if he continued, I would have probably been very vocal and a very loud voice, enough to where it's going to draw attention to other people.
Yeah.
I'm not interested. You need to turn around and walk away. And I was something along those lines. Leave me alone. Simple. It can be very simple. You want to make noise. You want to get people to look at you. Again, I always say these criminals are cowards and they don't want to get caught. And the more people that are looking at them, the more chance they're going to get caught for what they're doing. So you want to be loud. You want to get that attention.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's great. That reminds me of the mountain lion attack. The mountain lion comes, make yourself look big and make a
Yeah.
lot of noise.
Yeah. And that
Yeah.
actually, that's a really good analogy because, when you look at what criminals are looking for, they're looking for the weak. They're looking for that injured
Mhm.
animal that's not paying attention, walking, by itself and not part of the herd. That's easy. They want the easiest prey they can
Mhm.
get. So if you're timid and you're like, oh, I'm okay. No, you're like, I don't need, get out of here. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you might be rude to somebody that maybe didn't deserve it, but guess what? Your safety is way more important than being polite. If you feel uncomfortable, again, she told me when she was at the gas station, she had such a weird feeling about that couple. They just looked like something wasn't right. And then he starts approaching me. I go, well, good that you're paying attention. It was great that you said something right away, and that you even continued to tell him to leave, and that he
Mhm.
finally did. I said that was all good.
Yeah.
She could have been a little bit more forceful with it, but she did an outstanding job. And that's
Yeah.
that's what we teach. We want you to be aware of what's going on, aware of those anomalies, that weird behavior, that feeling that she got. If you get that feeling, same thing, start paying attention to that, and
Yeah.
make the noise. And
Mhm.
it's not as difficult as people think it is. Most people don't want to be involved in a fight if they're committing a crime. And as soon as someone says, I'm not the right person for you, I'm going to put up a fight, they turn around and walk away. So that's really the most important thing.
That's right. Yeah, and we recommend homeowners and renters to have a dog. Even if it's like a small yappy dog. It's not going to fight a burglar off, but it's making noise, right? And
Yeah.
and as you say, criminals are cowards,
Yeah.
and once they hear that noise, it could draw attention to the neighbors, and a lot of times they'll scram. So
Yeah, yeah,
that's
dogs are an incredible deterrent. They
mhm,
really, and you're right, it doesn't matter the size. If a dog is there, that's definitely a very good deterrent, especially with home burglaries.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. MD asks, would you recommend taking a self-defense class to gain more confidence when you're out and about?
Okay, so here's the reality of self-defense courses. If you're going to take a 1 day or 2 day seminar, don't waste your money. Just don't.
Mhm.
The problem with those courses that people will take them and they feel like they're Chuck Norris, the day after, oh, I know what I would do. And 2 days goes by and they're like, oh, I remember a little bit. And then a week goes by and they're like, what was that thing that they were? And then it's all out the window. And you've just essentially wasted your time. The purpose of a lot of these, 1 day courses, these self-defense courses, is to introduce you to self-defense. It's not to teach you everything, because a lot of that stuff takes years to learn.
Mhm.
You have to master that. And it's not only that you have to master a specific skill, you have to understand when you can apply it, when it'll work, when it won't work, because, not everything is going to be successful. So it takes years to do it. If you want to get into self-defense, I encourage everybody to. I think there's a lot of really good things. Understanding how to box, understanding grappling,
Mhm.
things like that are really important. But it's not a 1 day, it's not a quick fix. It's not something that you're going to learn a lot from. It's something that, okay, it's going to be a commitment that I've got to make, 3 or 4 times a week, doing this for
Mhm.
years before I'm proficient enough to really do much, which is why, again, we come right back to situational awareness, because
Mhm.
that's something that you can do on a daily basis, that you can build that skill up very quickly, and you can see what's going on and what's right and what's wrong in a situation, and then you're able to act. And it doesn't take anything. It's not, if you've got physical limitations, this doesn't do it. This is not going to prevent that. You're able to do something immediately to protect yourself, your family, the people that are in the area with you. So while self-defense courses are great, they're not, they're not effective if you're only going one time.
That's right. Yeah, it sounds like you really do have to be committed. And kind of back to the pepper spray. You can't just put it in your pocket. You can't put these self-defense classes in your pocket, as it
Exactly.
were,
Yeah.
and pull them out when you need it. It's not going to happen,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Annie says, "Ha, not my goober golden retriever. He'll try to hug him." All right. So the dog does have to make some sort of noise, bark.
Yeah. Yeah. I would suspect that that the dog would probably bark if there was an attack going on, but you never know.
Right. Absolutely. So this is a great follow-up question. Annie asks, if not pepper spray, are there any personal safety items you'd recommend us carrying?
Yeah, there is. There's one thing, and it's so inexpensive. You can find them on Amazon. There's not any one that I recommend over another, but there are small little audible alarms. They fit on your keychain, and they're I think they put out about 115 decibels, a very loud, annoying, siren-y kind of sound. And all you have to do is press the button, or flip a
Mm,
switch, however the design is on it. Some of them have flashing lights, which is even better, because now you're creating another stimulus of flashing lights and you're drawing more attention. Those are one of the best things. You want people to look at you, and you press that thing and it's going to go off, and people are going to notice. And again, it's such an inexpensive thing to do. There's not much you have to learn to train with it. And that definitely is something I would recommend.
yeah, that's great advice. And so you said like 115 decibels. In
Yeah.
fact, home security systems, most of those run in like the 100 to 110 decibels.
Yeah.
So if you have a security system in your house or ever been to a house that does have one and heard that siren going off, that's very, very loud.
Yeah, I mean, they're
So,
so bad. It's
mhm,
gonna hurt your ears, but that's what you want. You wanna make that noise and get people to start looking, and get that person to go, "I don't want any part of this."
that's right.
Yep.
It's good. So, how does situational awareness differ from like an urban setting into like a more rural setting?
So it in many ways, it really doesn't.
Mhm,
You're looking for those anomalies, you're looking for your baseline behaviors, you're looking for your anomalies. So a baseline is gonna be different everywhere you go. The people that are uh, at a religious ceremony, a church, a temple, wherever you're at, are gonna be behaving in a different fashion they would be if they were at a concert, at an event, a stadium, right?
mhm,
There's different behaviors, high energy, maybe more quiet and reserved behavior. So you're looking for those baselines in an urban area and a rural area, though they have baselines as well. So
mhm,
look for those baselines. You understand it. You're at those places all the time. And even if you're not, you can pick it up by just watching people. And
mhm.
then you'll understand that, okay, well, that's normal behavior, but that's not normal behavior. When I first, and I think it probably happens to every new patrol officer at some point working midnight shift, I remember I was following a suspicious car through a neighborhood about 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. maybe,
Mhm.
and only to find out the guy was delivering papers. It's a
Yep.
newspaper. It's back when many people were getting newspaper delivered, but he was driving very slowly through the neighborhood, and I just picked him up, and I couldn't see what he was doing, and that's what he was doing. So it
Mhm.
was an odd behavior, but for him, it was a very baseline behavior. And I had to realize, okay, wait a second. This time of day, the baseline behavior is you're going to see cars going slowly in neighborhoods because they're probably delivering papers. And
Mm.
doesn't mean that that's what they're doing, but if I see that, I'm not going to go, ooh, they're doing something wrong. I'm going to go, let me take a look at that. Okay, yeah, I saw paper fly out the window or whatever they're doing. You have Amazon drivers too that are delivering early in the mornings. You're going to see that as well.
Mhm.
So that's sort of the difference, is that you just look for your baseline depending on the area. It may look different from one area to another, but if you understand the baseline, you also understand what the anomaly is, what that other behavior that doesn't quite fit in, and then you can watch that situation itself.
Yeah, that reminds me of a story when I was young. we had the newspaper delivery person came to our house, and they tried a new thing, which was come along the side of our gate and, very, very early in the morning, like 4 a.m., deliver the newspaper on like the side, kind of in our backyard
Mhm.
area. And my sister, we were very young. She woke up and saw it, and she went, screaming. She went ballistic. Probably woke the entire neighborhood up. Um, and sure enough, like, it scared the person ran. They wrote a letter a couple days later apologizing, so she knew her baseline.
Yeah.
Now, and everyone else knew her baseline from there on out.
Yeah. And I see a comment here from James Moore about, security alerts for somebody that was doing early deliveries, and that's great. The
Mhm.
one thing I wanna mention with that is just because that's something that's normal, doesn't mean that a criminal's not going to try to mimic that behavior to carry out a crime. So,
Mm,
don't get
yeah.
so caught up that, "Oh, it's just a delivery guy." Still take a look at it and say, "Okay, yeah, they're delivering a package." Don't be like, "Oh, don't think," if you get the alert, it's probably the delivery person." I'd still
Mhm.
take a look just to double check. It's always good to be safe than sorry.
Right. And that's another benefit of having like a really good doorbell camera, video doorbell, or any
Yeah.
kind of outdoor security system. And
Yeah.
again, a lot of those are motion activated.
Mhm.
So, and you can get the active deterrence on those where, it could say something audibly, or it can, set a siren off if
Yep.
it detects motion.
Yeah.
So those can come in handy for sure.
Yep.
Great. Yeah. Chat, please keep the questions coming if you have them. We talked about this a little bit, Gene, with the security systems, and then the device that you recommend to keep
Mhm.
on the keychain, which is great. What other role do you think technology plays in enhancing personal and home security?
Well, I mean, you just said the one I would the best one that I was gonna say, which is when you're able to have a two-way conversation from a video. That's if you got the backdoor. A lot of the floodlights have the two-way cameras, where two-way communication cameras, where you can
Mm,
you can confront somebody that's in your yard or approaching your house, or even if it's a delivery person, you can can talk to them. I think that's probably one of those most powerful pieces of technology right now when it comes to home security. The ability to talk to and track people with video cameras. It's incredible because if they're there for some nefarious reason, it
mhm.
still takes time for the police to get there. It's gonna
Right.
take 5 minutes or more for them to get there. And what does that mean? It means that you're on your own. So, you can actually scare them off before, or you can alert the police before the alarm goes off. Um, you know, these systems are great. You gotta use them. You have to know how to use them. You have to make sure that they're working. But,
Yeah.
I think those video cameras that have that capability of two-way audio, phenomenal. That's
Mhm.
probably one of the best things you could get.
Yeah. Yeah. And on that note, I've been curious myself. How does like video recording make good evidence for police officers who are on a case? And do you resolve a lot of crimes that way and maybe apprehend suspects with
Oh,
video
yeah.
footage?
Yeah, video is king. I mean,
Mm.
it's hard to dispute a video. I mean, you'll have people saying, "Oh, that wasn't me," and you're like, "Well, you're wearing the same exact clothes as you
Yeah.
were in the video." I mean,
Yep.
so yeah, the videos. It's hard to refute a video. It's very easy to refute, eyewitness testimony because it happens so many times that they're wrong, that they didn't
Mhm.
see the right thing, or they say, "Well, I thought he was wearing a red shirt, but it was a brown shirt." And the reason it looked like it was brown because of the type of lights that were outside at the night, or outside during the nighttime. So lighting can affect the way things look.
Mhm.
People don't realize that a lot of times there's different types of lighting, but you know the videos themselves are very difficult to refute, especially if they're really good quality.
Right. Yeah, and so on that note, you can get live streaming video cameras like video doorbells and security cameras, outdoor security cameras, where you can open, your smartphone and watch the app and live stream, see someone in action, but maybe not necessarily have the recording feature. You're not paying for that cloud recording, or which is really important, because what good is it going to do to be able to see them but not have that video recording? And typically those are only like $4 or $5 a month to sign up for. So we highly recommend that.
Absolutely. I mean, the whole purpose of the system isn't just so you can look at somebody committing a crime. It's that you can build the evidence against them so that you can be prosecuted. You can, recover your property or damages that they made,
Hmm.
and make sure that there's some form of punishment to make sure they don't do it again. Maybe.
Right.
You
Right.
know?
So there's this question here. Can misuse of situational awareness lead to racial profiling?
Okay. So I am 100% in support of profiling. I didn't say
Hmm.
racial. Profiling has, we talk about, oh, were you profiling that person? Sure, I was profiling everybody. You're profiling behaviors, not a person. You're not profiling the way they look, it's the way that they're behaving. Are they walking faster than everybody else? Are they walking slower than everybody else? Are they going the opposite direction of everybody else? Are they keeping their head down and their face covered because they don't want to be seen? These
Hmm.
are behaviors. It has nothing to do with what a person looks like physically. It has to do with how they are moving in an environment, and if that's an abnormal behavior or if it's within the baseline of how everyone else is acting.
Hmm.
So, yes, could it be perceived as one way? Yeah, if you are looking at somebody just because of the color of their skin and think they're doing something wrong, then absolutely that's ridiculous. That's not going to determine whether they're doing something wrong or not. What is going to determine it is how they behave. It's
Hmm.
completely about behavioral analysis. Are they moving, doing things that they shouldn't be doing? Is there something that makes them stand out that looks different than everybody else? And if it is, maybe they're just an odd person, or maybe they're about to do something they shouldn't be doing. So yeah,
Hmm.
you have to be aware that it's really not about what someone looks like, it's about how they behave.
Great. Yeah, I really like that. It's not racial profiling. Obviously, that is a thing that does happen.
Sure.
Um, we don't want to racially profile, but we do want to profile.
Yes.
That's great advice.
Yeah, just behavior. It's all about
Yeah.
behavior.
There's I'd love to do a whole segment on just this question at some point with you.
Mhm.
But for today, let's touch on it briefly. What for families, what are some key lessons that parents should be teaching their children to like stay safe?
Oh, yeah, yeah, it's definitely an entire definitely an entire episode right there.
Sure. Yep.
Um, yeah, I mean, there's so much. I think it's in the context of what we're talking about today, as far as situational awareness. I think when you're out with your family, what would you do if you saw something? How would you communicate with your family that something is going on? Because you don't want to draw attention to it, right? So what we teach everyone is have the conversation at home. Hey, if I ever make a comment to you about I love blueberry pie or something, some kind of a code word,
Mm-hmm.
they need to know that if you say that phrase or that word, that something's not right and you guys are going to leave. And they're
Mm-hmm.
not going to ask you, why are we leaving? They're just going to say, okay, let's go. And they're going to follow you to go wherever. Um,
Yep.
it's a very helpful thing. If you don't get along with one of your family members, like your mother-in-law, hey, I'm gonna go to my mother-in-law's house tonight.
Mm.
Like, there's no way you're going there, right? And that could be the code word for your family. And let the kids know, hey, if I ever say that, I just need you to follow me, and this is really important to keep you guys safe. And nothing's wrong is going to happen, but I just need to this is one of these times that if I say this, you need to take it very seriously and just follow me and do what I say. And then you can
Mm-hmm.
pull yourself out of a situation, and without anyone realizing that something's going on. And then you can take action from there. You can call the police, but get yourself to safety first.
Sure. Yeah. The code word thing is we had a code word growing up. It had changed over time because my mom would always like let it slip in public. Hey, remember our code word is, and she
Yeah.
would say it. It's like, Mom, really? Now we have to change it.
Yeah.
Really important to kind of keep that under lock,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Uh,
It is. It's important.
I thought it was just something that like my family did, but
Oh, no.
I guess
I
you
did it.
didn't.
I did it at work because I used to joke around a lot, and sometimes my guys wouldn't know if I was being serious. I'm like, if I ever say, and then I had a phrase that I would use, they'd be like,
Hmm.
and they would use it for me too. They're like, they'd say it to confirm, are you being? And I'm like, yes. And okay, and then all right, we're now in professional mode. But a lot of times we would joke with each other, and they wouldn't know. Is he kidding? Is he really mad? Is he not mad? What's. So yeah, code
Sure.
words are great. You just got to make sure everyone understands what they mean and what to do when they're said or used.
Hmm. Right.
Yep.
All right. As we wrap things up here, anything else come to mind that you want to talk about regarding situational awareness, staying safe, whether you're out in public, coming home into your house?
No, I think, I mean, we touched on really some of the most important things. I think that you have to listen to what your body is telling you. Our
Mhm.
limbic system is chemical. It's biological. We know when something isn't right. Even if you don't know what it is, your body can pick up on things, and it's time that we start paying attention to that, not just discarding those thoughts. It's not normal to have fireworks go off in your office. It's probably not fireworks. It's probably something bad.
Sure.
Either an explosion, it could be a piece of equipment that exploded, it could be a gunshot, anything. A car hit a building, it can make a loud noise.
Mhm.
Something good probably didn't happen. What are you going to have? What is your plan going to be? And that's really, I guess, the second part of all of the situation awareness is not only how to identify it, but what are you going to do when you see something happen? Do you know where all the exits are? Do you have a plan? If you're going to an event, do you know the layout of the event? I mean, most people probably, if they've never been to a specific stadium, they may not know where parking is, or how the parking lot is set up. They may not know where the exits are to get in and out of there.
Mhm.
They might not know, just the overall layout. It's important. You should really always just at least take a glance at it before you go out somewhere that if you're not familiar with it. How do I get in and out safely if something were to happen?
Mhm. I've actually heard stories too of, and you can tell me if this is true, but like Navy SEALs or, SWAT teams, when they enter in a room, they know where all the exits are within a matter of seconds, the entrances and exits, and they'll even know small details like where the outlets are around the room because they're that situationally aware.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to doing an entry into a house, most of the time we would have the layout for the house. We would be able to get the
Mhm.
plans for the house. If it was something if it was a warrant we were serving, or something like that, you'd have the layout for the most part. Doesn't mean there couldn't have been modifications to the home, but you really do understand it, and you also start to realize a lot of houses are designed the same way. A lot of buildings are designed the same way. And so you kind of can pick up real easily, like, oh, that looks like that's going to lead to a bathroom. No, that this is about, there's two bedrooms, probably in the middle there's going to be a bathroom. That would make sense. You're not like, so you start to understand how the things are set up.
Mhm.
I'll be honest, I never paid attention to the outlets, but that's probably not something bad to pay attention to. But yeah, I would agree that you do pick up on all the different. We would always pay attention to which way doors open. Do they open in or do they open out? That was a big
Mhm.
thing for us, and a lot of people don't pay attention to that detail. But that's something that we would be aware of. So yeah, you start to pick up on all those little details, and it makes a huge difference in how you respond.
Interesting. Yeah. I've noticed that bank doors from the inside open in, right?
Hmm.
And that's purposeful, so you don't have an easy egress.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, okay, yeah, this has been excellent. Thank you so much. I'm gonna put this up on the screen again here for our chat and anyone who's watching. We're gonna be running these Safe Home Interactive live Q&As most Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. With Gene, we're gonna continue on with this series. We've got crime prevention through environmental design coming up next. We want to do a video on how crime really works, kind of digging into the psychology of the criminal. We're going to do safe home office hours, just a general live Q&A, maybe talk about some specific home security products you can put up around your home. And then unconventional home security methods in history. So we're going to be talking about like man traps, which is actually a thing, and some really interesting home security methods from yesteryear. So those should be fun. Hopefully, super insightful. Hopefully, today has been really insightful for you all. Again, thank you for attending, and we'll see you next Tuesday. And thank you again, Gene. Appreciate it.
absolutely glad to be here. Thank you.
All right. See ya.